Chapter 7. The End of Negative Feelings.
The only thing standing between you and what you are is a thought or a feeling. It's very simple. Rhonda's teacher.
Happiness is your natural state. So if you don't feel happy right now, then you have a negative feeling that is stopping that happiness from being present within you. This chapter has various practices that will help end negative feelings that have had you wrapped in their repetitive loop. When you are free from them, you will finally live your life in your natural state of sheer joy and happiness, a life more spectacular than anything you have lived up until now.
The first thing you need to do is get in touch with negative feelings that you're not even aware of. Lots of people have negative feelings they're not aware of. Lots of people are depressed, and they're not aware they are depressed. It's only when they make contact with joy that they understand how depressed they were. The first thing you need is awareness of your negative feelings. What negative feelings? Gloominess, for instance. You're feeling gloomy and moody. You feel self-hatred or guilt. You feel that life is pointless, that it makes no sense. You've got hurt feelings. You're feeling nervous and tense. Get in touch with those feelings first. Anthony DeMello.
You don't need to know the name of the negative feeling you have, because sometimes it can be hard to pinpoint exactly what you're feeling. All you need to know is that if the feeling isn't a happy feeling, it's a negative feeling. And that negative feeling is holding back your life and preventing you from living in constant happiness. Just be aware of the negative feeling without resisting it, expressing it, or judging it in any way. And recognize that it's just a feeling. Do not make any attempt to change the feeling. When you stop wanting to get rid of the feeling and you stop resisting it, the energy will be released and the feeling can disappear.
If you stop resisting an emotion, it cannot stand. Rupert Spira.
We've convinced ourselves that if we resist bad feelings, we make them go away. But instead, we are guaranteeing that we will experience them over and over again. As the psychiatrist Carl Jung said, whatever you resist persists. Take away resistance, and any negative feeling, no matter how strong, passes through the body quickly. My teacher showed me that when you place the palm of your hand against someone else's palm, and each of you push against the other's hand, you will feel resistance. If the other person stops pushing with their hand, immediately both hands drop. If you can, experiment with this with a friend or family member, because experiencing it for yourself will make it crystal clear. This is exactly what happens when you stop resisting a negative emotion. It drops away. To stop resisting a negative feeling, you have to allow the feeling to be present without trying to change it. Just be aware of the feeling. Relax and don't tense up against it, because that's resisting it. Ironically, you let the feeling go by relaxing and allowing it to be there without wanting to change it or get rid of it, without wanting to make it different or do anything about it. Let the feeling be there, and that allows the energy of it to be released. It's the very opposite to what we've always done, which explains why we have so many suppressed negative emotions.
Resistance is quite insidious. It's one of the main things that stop us from having, doing, and being what we want in life. Hale Dwoskin.
The energy behind a negative feeling will naturally release when you allow the feeling to be present. It's an automatic process. All you have to do is be aware of the feeling, allow it to be present, and not try to push it away, change it, control it, or get rid of it. When you fully allow the feeling, the energy of the feeling passes very quickly, and at the same time, it takes a big chunk of the suppressed feeling with it. For example, if you don't resist an angry feeling when it appears and you allow it to be present, it will quickly move through you, taking with it some of the original anger that you suppressed early in your life.
Don't be afraid of feelings. Let them come up and be released. Shakti Katarina Maggi.
When we notice a feeling and allow it to be just as it is, we're no longer suppressing or repressing it. We've finally begun to free the suppressed feeling. Even a bout of extreme anger can fall away in under a minute if we are simply aware of it, allow it to be there, and don't resist it.
When we strongly identify with negative emotions rather than observing them, they can very quickly drain our energy supply. By remaining present and learning how to disidentify from the emotions, we can reclaim control of our energy supply, which then becomes available to enhance our life experience. David Bingham.
The following practices I'm about to share are the most effective methods I know of to permanently release negative feelings, including all of the suppressed negative feelings that you have accrued throughout your whole life. And when they've gone, you won't be affected by negative feelings the way you once were. Your health will skyrocket, and so will your finances, your relationships, and your entire life. Even better, once the negative feelings are all gone, you will be standing unimpeded in the joy and happiness of infinite awareness. Whatever you want will appear in your life effortlessly. You will be having the experience of a human being while being the infinite being that you actually are.
When everything that can be let go of is let go of, what remains is what we desire above all else.
Welcoming.
The brilliant teacher and ex-physicist Francis Lucille describes one method of releasing negative feelings as welcoming. Welcoming has proven to be one of the most powerful practices I have ever done in my life. This practice eradicates negative feelings once and for all. It's also worth noting that the situation or circumstance that caused the negative feelings in the first place will also change when you welcome the negative feeling. This is due to you releasing the feeling you have about the situation. Welcoming is the opposite of resisting. Resistance says to a negative feeling, "No, I don't want this." And welcoming says, "Yes, you are welcome here." Awareness is always welcoming of everything. No negative feeling, no matter how strong, can stand up against the welcoming of awareness. In fact, no negativity whatsoever can stand up against the welcoming of awareness. It seems counterintuitive to welcome something you don't want, but it's resistance that holds what you don't want to you, and welcoming stops you from resisting. It can be challenging not to resist or tense up against a negative feeling, but when you open your attention and welcome the feeling, miraculously the resistance ceases, and the negative feeling, which is just energy, dissolves. The situation that you were resisting will then be able to change. Remember, opening your attention is like zooming out with a camera lens, so you're not focused on any detail with your mind. Make sure that you don't focus into the feeling. That will make it stronger because the mind increases anything we focus on. Notice the feeling, but don't focus into it. Keep your attention wide. Teacher Hale Dwoskin suggests that in the beginning, it can be helpful to open your arms out to the side of your body when you open your attention. Open your arms as though you are welcoming somebody you love, whom you're about to embrace. This helps you open your heart. We have a tendency to keep the heart area of our body permanently contracted without realizing we're doing it. I consciously open my heart when I welcome anything in life that I do not want. My teacher says that when we're welcoming, we are being our true self, awareness, because welcoming is our very nature. In fact, the infinite awareness that you are is so welcoming that negative feelings can't possibly remain in its presence. Quite simply, when you welcome anything negative, you allow it to dissolve back into its source, you, awareness. And so when you welcome a negative feeling, you are tapping into your infinite power to dissolve it. Teacher Francis Lucille says that as we become more established in welcoming, we realize that welcoming is not really an activity of its own. Rather, welcoming stops the activity of resistance. Initially, we think that welcoming is something we do, and as we practice it more, we realize that it's actually stopping us from doing something many of us do automatically, resisting.
The feeling evaporates because it's only energy. So when a feeling arises, notice it is only energy and welcome it. It has arisen because you're ready to be free of it.
What hurts you blesses you.
Some years ago, I found myself in a state of depression. At that time, I didn't know most of the things that I'm sharing in this book. But fortunately, I knew how I had brought about depression. My daughter was very sick at the time, and I feared for her life. And I had one terrifying thought after another. Because I believed those fearful thoughts, in a few months, they sent me spiraling down into depression.
Feelings like anger or sadness exist only to alert you to the fact that you are believing your own stories. Byron Katie.
To lift myself out of the depression, I tried to think positive thoughts and thoughts of gratitude. But what I discovered is that our thoughts have very little power in the depths of depression. It's a safety mechanism that protects us from our thoughts manifesting when we're down really low in despair or depression. So, with the failure of my usual way to turn things around, I had to find another way. I decided that if I couldn't override the depression with positive thoughts, I would just stop resisting the depression, because I knew that what you resist persists. So I closed my eyes and focused inside my body where the depression seemed to dwell. I opened myself up to that black cloud of depression as if I were stretching my arms out to welcome it, and as if I were embracing it by putting my arms around it, just as you would greet someone you love dearly and haven't seen in a long time. I opened up my heart and loved the depression as best I could and pulled it in close toward me. For a few seconds it worsened, and then all of a sudden it became lighter and lighter, and then completely dissolved. In a matter of seconds it had gone, just like that. The relief was exquisite. A few hours later, the feeling of depression came back, but it was much less intense than before. I followed the same process, and I continued to do it whenever the depression reappeared. Each time I did the practice, the depression got weaker and weaker, and in just a few days, it had totally gone.
The moment you accept what troubles you've been given, the door will open. Rumi.
I know without any doubt that I will never suffer from depression again. It has left my body permanently. If I can do this with depression, you can do it with any negative feeling. When you do it yourself, you will understand the process much better. Dissolving a negative emotion when it's in full flight is the best feeling in the world. Instead of resisting the feeling of depression, which only made it worse and held it to me, I did the opposite. In my own way, even though I didn't know it at the time, I had intuitively welcomed the negative feeling of depression. Since that time, I have used the same practice for any negative feelings that have arisen, for negative thoughts, and I have also used it for any painful sensations in the body, like a cramp in the foot or a headache. I've found that bodily sensations can dissolve as quickly as negative feelings when they're not resisted. Use the welcoming process for anything that makes you feel bad, any negative thoughts or stories, negative feelings, painful sensations or memories, and limiting beliefs. Welcoming frees you from emotional bondage and allows your life to change for the better in every possible way.
When we love or hate, we stop hating. Love always wins. To love hatred means to welcome it. It doesn't mean that we should do what it tells us to do, but we shouldn't suppress it either. When we love hatred, we put ourselves out of the process of hatred, and love begins. Francis Lucille.
Negative feelings like fear can be immensely uncomfortable or even terrifying, which is why many of us have developed the habit of automatically suppressing them rather than facing them. But they have fooled us. When we allow any negative feeling to be present, welcoming it without trying to push it away, it may feel overwhelming for a couple of seconds as it intensifies, but then it completely disappears. When you have allowed a bad feeling to be present and you haven't suppressed it, that feeling will never be as strong in you again. You have weakened it, and it is now on its way out. A few more times of allowing the feeling to be present, and it will be released from your body. Watch then how much happiness floods into your body and how much goodness floods into your life from just one negative feeling being released.
Sometimes we surrender a feeling and we notice that it returns or continues. This is because there is more of it yet to be surrendered. We have stuffed these feelings all of our lives, and there can be a lot of energy pushed down that needs to come up and be acknowledged. When surrender occurs, there is an immediate, lighter, happier feeling, almost like a high. Dr. David R. Hawkins.
The relief that you will feel from releasing negative feelings from the body is exquisite. And with every released negative feeling, your body will become lighter, your life more effortless, and you will find your happiness expanding. You also gain momentum the more you do it, and it becomes easier and easier to release negative feelings. You'll reach a point where most negative feelings dissolve instantly because they are automatically released the moment you're aware of them. This is the infinite power of awareness.
Releasing is like breathing. It's natural. Inhale and exhale.
That's what every uncomfortable feeling is for. That's what pain is for, what money is for, what everything in the world is for. Your self-realization.
Every negative feeling is there to direct you back home to who you are. They alert you to the fact that you're believing stories that are not true, so you can welcome those feelings and live your life as the magnificent awareness that you truly are. Isn't it ironic that negative feelings, the one thing we do everything we can to avoid, are the very thing that will liberate us?
What hurts you blesses you. Darkness is your candle. Rumi.
Use every negative emotion that appears as an opportunity to permanently free yourself from that negative emotion. As my teacher said, a negative emotion only arises when you're ready to be free of it. Welcome the emotion without trying to change it or get rid of it. You are the infinite being, and welcoming is your very nature. Welcome every negative feeling until you are free of them all forever.
It is possible to be in very peaceful surroundings and yet be tormented. And it is possible to be in dangerous, noisy, negative feeling surroundings and yet be entirely at peace. Jan Fraser.
How do you welcome negative feelings about subjects that you have a strong opinion about or a strong stance against, like cruelty to animals? Understand that the bad feelings you feel around that subject are causing you harm and are not helping what you care about. Welcome the sensations and feelings that the subject may evoke in you. Welcome your disapproval. Welcome the feelings of unfairness and injustice. Keep welcoming until there is no sensation or feeling left when you think of the subject. You might think that you don't want to stop feeling the pain about a subject because then you'll stop caring about it. But this is a story the mind is telling you, and the very opposite is true. Your strong resistance to a subject energizes it, adding a lot of energy and power that makes it bigger. So when you release your negative feelings around it, you are releasing all the energy you have focused on it, and you are disempowering the circumstances surrounding the subject. Without that negative emotion, your love and compassion, which will naturally arise in place of the negative emotions, have atomic power, and they can make a huge difference in the world. Let me tell you about Lester Levinson. Lester became enlightened through releasing all of his negative emotions and beliefs over a 3-month period. Prior to this, Lester had many health problems, including depression, migraine headaches, gastrointestinal imbalances, jaundice, an enlarged liver, kidney stones, spleen trouble, hyperacidity, ulcers that had perforated his stomach and formed lesions, and coronary heart disease. One by one, every disease and affliction disappeared as Lester released his suppressed negative feelings. Lester called his method of releasing negative emotions the Sedona method, and under the guardianship of one of his students, Hale Dwoskin, who is featured in both The Secret and this book, Lester's method continues to reach many the world over.
I was letting go and undoing the hell I had created. By squaring all with love, trying to love rather than trying to be loved, and by taking responsibility for all that was happening to me, finding my subconscious thought and correcting it, I became freer and freer, happier and happier. Lester Levinson.
Think of one painful memory from early life, one terrible regret that has been hidden. Look at all the years and years of thoughts associated with that single event. If we could surrender the underlying painful feeling, all of those thoughts would disappear instantly, and we would forget the event. Dr. David R. Hawkins.
When we release or welcome a suppressed feeling evoked from a memory, no matter how far back that memory goes, all the hundreds and thousands of thoughts attached to that memory will be released with the feeling. There's nothing better than doing this. The lightness, the happiness, and the high you feel as you release the feelings attached to painful memories cannot be described, not to mention how completely your life changes. You will know with certainty that those suppressed feelings have been affecting the health of your body when you release them. And when you see all the circumstances of your life begin to change for the better, as they most definitely will, you will know through your own experience that those feelings were holding your life back too. I once did this practice on a hurtful childhood experience that had stayed with me all my life, and I can now no longer remember what the experience was. I only remember releasing it. When I released the hurtful feeling that the memory evoked, it took all of the thoughts of the memory with it, so much so that the memory itself vanished. Hurtful memories are heavy burdens for us to carry. They get in the way of us having the life we deserve, and they're not who we are. You can free yourself of painful memories.
Notice the feeling behind every thought, and it will dissolve. It's a self-cleaning mechanism. Use the shortcut of dissolving feelings to dissolve hundreds of negative thoughts by welcoming the feeling.
It's inspiring to know that releasing just one negative feeling will take out hundreds, if not thousands, of negative thoughts with it. As you dissolve your negative feelings, you take out thoughts of doubt, unworthiness, needing approval from others, insecurity, lacking confidence, and every other kind of negative thought that holds you back from a life filled with wonder and continuous happiness. With every negative feeling that is released, your life will soar.
The super practice.
I want to share with you an invaluable practice that my teacher gave me that changed my life and that I continue to use every single day. This is a simple but powerful combination of the two most important and vital practices in this book: welcoming and staying as awareness. My teacher says that while you stay as awareness, the body is an automatic self-cleaning mechanism. What that means is that while you stay or rest as awareness, the trapped energy from every negative emotion is unwinding automatically and being released from your body by itself. You can sometimes feel the energy unwinding around the area of your chest. Step 1. Welcome anything negative. Open your heart and welcome any negative reactions, negative feelings, negative sensations, negative thoughts or problems in the moment they appear. Step 2. Stay as awareness. Stay as awareness by keeping your attention wide, like the lens on a camera, so it's not focused on any detail. Because awareness is naturally welcoming, you will find after doing the super practice for a while that the two steps merge into one. In the moment you welcome, you'll find that awareness is instantaneously present. Since doing this practice, I've noticed that negative emotions and reactions have become much weaker and evaporate quickly. I even reached a point where I loved a negative emotion or reaction to come up, because it not only reminded me to welcome it and stay as awareness, but it felt so good when it dissolved. I use the same practice when a negative situation, circumstance, or problem appears. I open my attention, open my heart, and welcome the negative feeling about the situation. And then I stay as awareness the best I can. I find that the negative situation changes very soon after I do this super practice. It actually must change because our resistance is what holds a negative situation to us.
In the state of that awareness, all suffering ceases.
A few years ago, I went through an event that would be considered by most people intensely scary and stressful. However, due to welcoming and staying as awareness, the event didn't affect me the way it would have before I knew these practices. Wildfires were threatening to destroy the community I live in. I was evacuated from my house, yet felt a peaceful state of calm about the safety of my home. I felt calm because I was fine with whatever happened. I had evacuated, and if I had lost my house, I absolutely knew it would be for the best and that life needed to take me in a different direction. The fire was out of control for many weeks, destroying everything in its path. Eventually, it loomed closer to my home and was burning houses in the road where I live. But I felt no fear and no attachment to any outcome. I knew that I would remain happy no matter what happened. With no resistance to any outcome, my house remained safe. I had welcomed the situation, and I have no doubt that the peace and calm I felt through those fires was due to the welcoming I had practiced in the past.
I've realized how much misery comes of resisting the present facts, or of living in the past or the future. I don't think I realized how much pain I was in before. It's like I was hitting myself on the shin with a hammer for 50 years. And then the hammer fell out of my hand.
To be free of negative emotions is worth every second that you put into it. I have been feeling good most of the time since I discovered the secret in 2004. But these days, I exist mostly in a state of gentle happiness due to the knowledge and practices I'm sharing with you in this book. Can you imagine living a single day without any negative emotion affecting you whatsoever, let alone living a month that way or a year? If you didn't have negative emotions, you wouldn't have negative thoughts to contradict what you want, and you would become a magnet for anything and everything you want. When you experience this for yourself, then you'll know that this is the true joy of living.
Chapter 7. Summary.
Happiness is your natural state of being. So if you don't feel happiness right now, then you have a negative feeling that is stopping that happiness from being present. Be aware of a negative feeling without resisting it, expressing it, or judging it in any way, and see that it's just a feeling. The energy behind a negative feeling will naturally release when you allow the feeling to be present. It's an automatic process. Welcoming is a practice that eradicates negative feelings. Welcoming means the opposite to resisting. Welcoming says to a negative feeling, yes, you are welcome here. In the beginning, it can be helpful to welcome more effectively if when you open your attention, you also open your arms out to the side of your body. You can consciously open your heart too. Use the welcoming process for anything that makes you feel bad, any negative thoughts or stories, negative feelings, painful sensations or memories, and limiting beliefs. When you have allowed a bad feeling to be present and you haven't suppressed it, that feeling will never be as strong in you again. Every negative feeling is there to direct you back home to who you are. They alert you to the fact that you're believing stories that are not true, so you can welcome those feelings and live your life as the magnificent awareness that you truly are. A negative emotion only arises when you're ready to be free of it. When you release your negative feelings around a subject you feel strongly about, you are releasing all the energy you have focused on it and are disempowering the circumstances surrounding the subject. When we welcome a suppressed feeling evoked from a memory, all the hundreds and thousands of thoughts attached to that memory will be released with the feeling. The lightness, the happiness, and the high you feel as you release the feelings attached to painful memories cannot be described. The super practice. Step 1, welcome anything negative. And step 2, stay as awareness.
Chapter 8. No more suffering.
Here's the bottom line. Suffering is optional. Byron Katie.
You are not meant to suffer. And when you're living as your true self, awareness, you will never suffer. It can be hard to imagine a life without suffering, but most assuredly it can be your life right now.
There is pain in the physical, but suffering is of the mind.
Your higher self does not suffer. Your familiar self can hardly figure out how not to suffer.
Suffering is caused by believing negative thoughts. So suffering is self-imposed.
I discovered that when I believed my thoughts, I suffered, but that when I didn't believe them, I didn't suffer. And that this is true for every human being. Freedom is as simple as that.
Whenever you are suffering, your suffering is contained in a single thought. I don't like this. In other words, we allow a single, flimsy, insubstantial thought to spoil our happiness.
Our mind tends to respond to the circumstances of life with no, 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 while awareness always responds with yes, yes, yes to everything.
Awareness even says yes to no.
Saying no holds what you don't want to you. Saying yes to what you don't want releases your resistance, allowing what you don't want to change. It's counterintuitive, but it's how it works. When you say, no, I don't want this, you're resisting. And as you've come to understand, whatever you resist persists.
If you abide in this state of acceptance, you create no more negativity, no more suffering, no more unhappiness. You then live in a state of non-resistance, a state of grace and lightness, free of struggle. Eckhart Tolle.
I am a lover of what is, not because I'm a spiritual person, but because it hurts when I argue with reality.
If you were to altogether let go of resistance this moment, never to start it up again, by that single gesture, you'd liberate yourself from an enormous burden of suffering.
If we don't resist what has happened, there's no conflict, and the energy of the situation passes. Without our resistance to something, it can't stay in our life. On the other hand, if we resist what's happened, we'll hold the situation to us and we'll continue to suffer. The wonderful teacher Sailor Bob Adamson says to just allow experiences to come and go without judging them.
It is only the grasping, the hanging on, or the resisting and pushing away that creates the bind of psychological suffering.
Most people go to their graves believing suffering is unavoidable. How sad that is. If you turn from the possibility that it could be otherwise, you will suffer needlessly until the day you die. But here is something. The end of suffering would be the least of the benefits if you became free. The real miracle is not the profound undoing of anguish, but the riches that would flood the freed up space.
An instant end to suffering.
What I'm about to share with you may not be the easiest thing to grasp, but if you can get it, it will take you out of suffering immediately. Our mind makes it feel like we are the one who is suffering. And of course, if we unquestioningly believe our mind, our suffering is immense. But the truth is that you are the one that is aware of the suffering rather than the one suffering. The one who is suffering is the idea you have of yourself that you've believed, but it is not who you really are.
The end of suffering happens when you recognize that there's no one to suffer.
My teacher would say to ask yourself this question: am I the one suffering, or am I the one that is aware of the suffering? If we can stop believing the mind's suggestion that we're the one suffering, the suffering will end immediately.
Once the nature of the mind is understood, suffering can't exist.
Awareness opens the door, dissolves all the beliefs and opinions and ideas that are in the way of and covering up your natural state of happiness.
It's no wonder that when the machinery of suffering has fallen apart and the mind has grown quiet, the feeling is that you've come home. Home has found you, which is often the impression, since you hadn't necessarily been trying to find your way there, not consciously anyhow. Or maybe you had been, but now you see you'd been looking in the wrong places.
There is one belief in particular that's the root cause of all the suffering in the world. It's the belief that we're a separate person. With thought, your mind convinces you that you are just a person and that you are vulnerable to an entire world of things that could go wrong. If you believe the mind's story of separateness, you will be completely under the control of your mind. Your mind will send a constant feed of fearful thoughts that you are vulnerable, bad things can happen to you, and that you and your life are limited. Sadly, this will become your life if you believe it to be true. But the truth is the very opposite of this. We are not separate. There is the appearance that we're a separate person, and we're having the experience of being a separate person. But for a magnificent life filled with lasting happiness, stay aware of the truth that you are infinite, eternal, consciousness awareness, and that there is only one of us.
The end of problems.
We believe we have a problem when something has gone differently from what we expected it to, or when we feel something has gone wrong. Our mind's immediate response to a problem is, I don't want this.
Problems exist only in the human mind.
Problems are not real. Problems are only imagined. There are no problems. It's impossible. What you are is free of problems. Problems are manufactured, every single one of them.
All problems are based on memory. In this moment, there are no problems.
If there were no human mind, there would be no problems. All problems exist in the human mind. All problems are created by the mind.
The truth is that problems are just another story created by the thoughts of our mind. It's the mind interpreting life by telling a story about something that's happened and turning it into a problem. To experience a problem-free life, instead of believing your mind, use the power of your awareness to become aware of your mind. When you're living more and more as awareness, then you will see clearly that problems are imagined limitations. How can the infinite awareness that you are have a single problem?
It's as if you put your hand in a fire and say, ouch, it's hot. My hand is burning. Boy, do I have a problem. And then you put your hand back in the fire and so on until one day you see that you are doing it and you stop. If you have a problem, you're putting your hand into a problem and yelling, it hurts, and acting as though you're not putting your hand in it. You act as though you're not doing it, but you are.
All problems come from the ego. You're free when you don't give validity to any problems.
The difficulty is that when you believe you have a problem, you will most definitely experience having a problem. But if you can be aware that it's really the mind and its thoughts telling another negative story, you allow any supposed problem to dissolve and disappear because your belief is not holding it to you or the world anymore.
Anyone who says, I have trouble, has it in his mind. That is the only place where it is, because you can't see or conceive of anything anywhere else but in your mind. Whatever you look at, whatever you hear, whatever you sense is in and through your mind. That is where everything is.
I'm going to tell you something very powerful. There is not a problem anywhere at any time. There is only a lack of love.
When you don't resist anything, when you accept everything just the way it is, this is love. Where love exists, no problem can exist. It's the reason why no problem can touch who you really are, because you are pure love. It is a love that is so pure our minds can't conceive of it. It is completely welcoming, accepting, all allowing, and totally unattached. It's the kind of love demonstrated by the remarkable enlightened beings like Buddha, Jesus Christ, Lao Tzu, Krishna, and so many more. And this pure love that you are has no problems ever. But from the perspective of a limited person, problems do seem real. Our mind has the opposite reaction to infinite awareness, and it resists and denies the way something is rather than accepting and allowing it.
Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. Lao Tzu.
When there is no emotional investment in trying to force things to be the way we want them, then they are free to move and resolve themselves.
From using the principles of The Secret, I've found that when I'm happy, there are barely any problems in my life. That's because from the place of happiness, problems either don't appear or they're so small that they don't have the ability to disturb my happiness. When I'm happy, problems look like anthills compared to when I've been in despair, and the smallest problem appears to be mountainous. So doesn't it make sense that from the ultimate level of happiness, where we know who we are, there are zero problems?
There's no end to problems in the world. If you try to find the end, you go on and on forever and ever, solving problems in the world, and you will always find more and more. As long as you are conscious of problems, they exist. Only when you discover the real you will you discover an end to problems.
How to be free of problems forever.
You can be free from everything. Do you want to give a problem your attention by changing it, fixing it, or trying to figure it out? Or do you want to be free of it?
When I shared with my teacher what I thought was a big problem, she said the following words to me. You could not have clearer words than these.
Stop focusing into the problem. Stop wanting it to be more or less. Stop wanting it to go. Stop wanting to change it. Stop wanting to figure it out. Stop wanting to control it. It will naturally collapse when you decide to be awareness. Everything that is not love collapses in the face of love. Everything that is not real collapses in the face of awareness.
As The Secret explained, when we give our attention to something, we energize it. So when we give our attention to a problem, we energize the problem and it gets bigger. Trying to fix a problem, trying to solve it, control it, or eradicate it means we are giving our attention to the problem. When we shift our attention away from the problem disappears because all the energy has been removed from it. It has to collapse. It's like taking the oxygen out of a fire. The fire will go out.
Now, trying to get rid of a problem is holding on to it. Anything we try to get rid of, we're holding in mind and therefore sustaining that problem. So the only way to correct a problem is to let go of it. See not the problem, see only what you want.
And once you have taken your attention off any problem, then you can use your mind to create what you want by focusing your mind and your thoughts on what you do want.
Energy flows where attention goes.
Michael Bernard Beckwith.
We give our attention to what we don't want, expecting that will change it, when the opposite is true. We have to remove our attention to allow a problem to dissolve. I heard somebody once say that problems are like an unwelcome guest. If you don't give a guest any attention, they will leave. Use the power of your awareness to be aware of your mind's negative thoughts and stories, thereby dissolving them, and you will be free of all problems and suffering. It's simply another example of the joy and bliss that is yours when you stay as the awareness that you are.
This is a gently unfolding miracle. Be patient. All your life, you've been doing it the other way, believing yourself to be at the mercy of life. Don't expect the whole thing to undo itself all at once.
Chapter 8, Summary.
You are not meant to suffer. And when you're living as your true self-awareness, you will never suffer. Suffering is caused by believing negative thoughts, so suffering is self-imposed. If we resist what's happened, we'll hold the situation to us and will continue to suffer. Ask yourself this question: am I the one suffering, or am I the one that is aware of the suffering? The truth is that you are the one that is aware of the suffering, rather than the one suffering. There is one belief in particular that's the root cause of all the suffering in the world. It's the belief that we're a separate person. Problems exist only in the human mind. Problems are not real. Problems are only imagined. To experience a problem-free life, instead of believing your mind, use the power of your awareness to become aware of your mind. When we give our attention to a problem, we energize the problem and it gets bigger. When we shift our attention away from the problem disappears because all the energy has been removed from it. Once you have taken your attention off any problem, then you can use your mind to create what you want by focusing your mind and your thoughts on what you want. Use the power of your awareness to be aware of your mind's negative thoughts and stories, thereby dissolving them, and you will be free of all problems and suffering.